the left can only win elections two ways: by cheating at the ballot box and by sticking phony voters in there, because they do not have anywhere near a majority of the American people on their side. Right. And so they're going to try and keep the illegals here, and then they're going to try and give them the right to vote. The right to vote and determine the future of our country. These are foreigners, sometimes hostile foreigners, that the left wants to give carte blanche to where they can drag America down into the gutters and turn it into the nightmare that these people escaped from.
Well, we had a little bit of victory when I guess it was a local court said that that Trump has the right to have National Guard there in L.A. and to send back illegals.
Yeah, and actually that court was all that court was doing was upholding the law and the Constitution as written. I mean, it's like you talk about a legal no-brainer, that's it.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of legal no-brainers. I was just talking with Mark McCluskey about
it. Yeah.
And it's an incredible thing what they've done.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
And it was huge. And they hurt a lot of American people, and they hurt this country badly.
And here's the thing that we need to understand about it. This was not ineptitude on their part. This was agenda-driven, leftist, anti-American, anti-Constitution attacks, a strategy.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. So both sides are pushing back on migrant, even current illegals. If no criminals should be happening, and this is Trump's idea. He's talking about the farmers that get these visas to get to work the fields and all that back and forth, and they're really I guess you could. I don't think they're illegal aliens, but people are saying that's part of the deal, that they're taking these guys out too, and gals.
Well, and you're going to see the left on every single issue out there. They cannot deal with it in its reality because they lose. And I'll take this right back. If everybody's looking right back to my book, we take things back to the reality, and the left loses. So they have to have lies. They have to mock the truth. They have to attack the truth bearers, and they have to present things under total falsehood. Otherwise, they lose. So you're hearing this stuff about, it's like, well, the crops are going to rot in the fields unless we can get all these illegals in here. And like you said, both sides, unfortunately, I can take it back to George W. Bush, the great Republican globalist, turns out to be rhino president we had back in the first years of the 21st century.
Did you know he was a rhino?
I voted for the guy, and I was happy when he won. And then I'm watching, and these inane things start happening. And I will tell you this, I have no doubt in my mind that if it weren't for 9/11, he never would have won re-election, because he just went completely like a rhino typically does. You get in touting one thing, and then you completely betray it and go over and try and appeal to the opposition. And he was the one that said, well, they're just doing jobs Americans won't do. Now, the reality of that is, if you want to say that sentence and speak the truth, it's that these illegals are doing jobs Americans won't do for third world wages.
Yeah, right.
And that's the effort of getting these people in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So the SCOTUS now also come up with a pretty good thing, and they stopped transgender operations 6-3.
Yep. And I would add there that the left is having a meltdown over that. Elizabeth Warren is talking about, this is so abusive. Now, if you were to follow these kids that get in these situations, these young children, first of all, they don't know what they're talking about. When I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a bird. Okay, I don't need doctors cramming feathers into my arms because I want to be a bird. Okay, these kids, they do this, and then they get all this adulation often from their crooked parents and from their lunatic teachers. They get all this adulation for the little boy saying he wants to be a girl. They get genitally mutilated. They get hormonally poisoned. And then now that they've been used and they can be held up as an icon for all this progressivism, then they pretty much get cast aside. And the suicide rate among these kids is unbelievable, because what have they done? They've totally wrecked their bodies. They've totally chemically perverted their bodies, and they don't have answers. They don't have that peace of mind that they were promised that they were going to have if they do all this hideous mutilation of their bodies. But they're no longer useful to the left at that point.
You wanted to put, feathers on or whatever it is. Your parents probably told you, no, you can't do that. Okay,
yeah, and if
they're preventing that from happening. They're preventing the parents
exactly
from controlling their own children from mortal abrogation of their lives.
Well, we used to have this thing called child abuse.
Yeah,
and the left got a hold of child.
It's still on the books.
Yeah, but it gets selectively enforced, because he used to be, now neglecting your child and your child runs wild, that was child abuse. Well, then they said, no, if you stop your child from doing what he wants, you're constraining him. That's child abuse. If you paddle his little butt when he's being bad so that he doesn't behave that way as an adult, that's the child abuse. They stopped us from actually disciplining and raising our children, because that's abusive. But going in and literally surgically attacking and mutilating their bodies, they say that's not abuse. This is how the left grabs every issue and completely puts the shoe on the wrong